Coaches, Thomas here from MyCoach Ai, and in today's video, we're going to talk about meal plans. And specifically, this is a video for you if you tend to get super specific, personalized, and nitty-gritty with your meal plan building. So if you want to control every single little amount, every ingredient, and your own recipes that you've crafted over time in your coaching career, this is the video for you, because what I want to show you today is how you can do all of that while still being super efficient. I know a lot of you guys who may have used, spreadsheets for meal plans or laid them out over a PDF document that you then send out to clients, which is great because you have all of the control in the world. But let's be honest, it's probably not the most efficient. I'm sure you've sat down for meal plans and spent hours and hours of time on them. And again, if you like to get hyper personalized, that is awesome, but it can also just suck a lot of your time away from a lot of other things that are important. All right. So I want to show you the power of just having a very efficient meal plan builder that doesn't require you to give up any of that control that I mentioned before, but does allow you to do so efficiently. Now, I'm going to show you inside of MyCoach Ai how we can do that. Heads up, there is a lot of automated and even AI functionality inside of MyCoach Ai that has to do with meal plans. It can literally just generate meal plan templates for you on the spot based on certain client specifics, meal plan parameters, but that is not what this video is about. This video is going to be purely about self-built meal plans and just doing that super efficiently. Matter of fact, if I go into my library section here and go to the meal plan, so this is kind of the main housing for all of your meal plan templates. From here, you can assign them to clients in very efficient ways. We have multiple ways to build them here. And one of them is, of course, using some of our algorithms to make it a lot quicker and efficient. But in this video, we're going to use this button at the top right here that says Create Meal Plan to go into our meal plan builder from scratch and you having all of that control. And I just want to show you around and show how it can actually make you more efficient. Before we actually do that, it is really important to point out, before I point out the features right in here, that there's two other libraries at play here, namely the meals and the foods sections, right? Now, going from the bottom, foods is the actual ingredients themselves, right? Every single tiny ingredient. Now, we have a ridiculous amount in here, right? Pretty much any food that you will find in a lot of the major food tracking, macro tracking databases, for example, the USDA database, you will find in here, and you can simply pull up those foods and they will have things like micronutrients included as well. So that is super useful. And aside from that, aside from already having a big database that you can work with in these meal plans, you can also create your own ingredients. Even if there's something that's maybe a little bit more out there, maybe it's not something that's in the USDA database, more of an international food, you can add it in yourselves. You can literally create an ingredient, even add all the micronutrients if you want to take time to do that, and then create those foods, those ingredients to then use into your recipes, and then of course use into your meal plans as well. Same thing here with meals. We already have a lot of meals that you can directly leverage. From here, AI meals, that means the database that we already provide. We have, if I go to the categories here, we have things like simple meals, and there is 120,000 simple meals in here. And these are simple combinations, right? The chicken, rice, and broccoli, and these type of combinations are really useful in meal planning, but very simple recipes, so nothing too crazy. And then aside from that, we also have a bunch of actual more, chef recipes, as we call them, that have cooking instructions, more ingredients involved. Really cool to throw in some variety that we just give you to work with. But of course, aside from that, of course, that's a given. If you're going to do your meal planning, you can create your own meals and recipes. So create meal right here allows you to start adding your own ingredients. Say in here, I want to, start adding chicken breast. And we simply look up those ingredients from that foods database. We add in our amounts and we start building our meals, including instructions, descriptions, whatever you need to do there. So all of that is at play once you start building your meal plans. And we actually recommend that before you even go to build your meal plans in MyCoach Ai, you first take a look at whatever of your own recipes you want to add in there, maybe even ingredients, though usually it's not needed. Then when we go into the meal plan section and go to create meal plan, this builder is going to give you complete liberty to now work with those two libraries to build your meal plans in a templated version that you can then assign to your clients. And at the top, we will find things like naming your meal plan and describing it, so you can add some notes for yourself. Tags are also really useful if you want to, tag it with gluten-free or whatever, high protein, right? Super useful for later use if you build a lot of meal plans. And then we get the nutrition overview. This is something that is going to automatically generate for you. So as you start building out the meals, as we'll see here in a second, and building out the days of the meal plan, this will automatically show up in the way that you are building your meal plan. And then below that, we have the calendar view. This is, of course, where you're actually going to be doing the building and build your meal plan template. However many days you want, by the way, right? Your template can be 7 days long, or it can be, 5 weeks long. It's really up to you. You build those templates and then you send them out. Now, once you start building, keep in mind that day one is always going to be day one of the meal plan. We have certain days listed here, but that is just for a visual aspect for you, so you can see the reference points. But day one of the meal plan is whenever you decide day one is going to be, when you assign it to the client. So keep that in mind. We have two options when we go to the plus button. We can add an existing meal or create a new meal. And that's why I showed you the meal section first, because if I go to existing meal, we can choose from, for example, the AI database, which has those 120,000 simple meals and all those executive chef recipes like we discussed before. Or we can go to the My section, and this is where all of your custom made recipes show up. You can easily, make the distinction between the two of them, and always keep in mind you have all of these tags and types to work with, right? If you tag things with breakfast and lunch and dinner, or categories right here, simple meals, and all of these different things, you can absolutely sort them by that, so it's way easier to find your recipes. That is, of course, an option, and it's a very efficient way to do it. And that's why we recommend at the beginning as well, if you first want to add in your own recipes, it's a great idea. I go existing meals and choose some of my own, and maybe I go existing meal again and then choose something from the AI database. Zucchini chicken enchiladas sounds delicious. Let's add that in, right? We build our day super efficiently. So great idea to do that first. Aside from that, we can, of course, also press create new meal. And it's really useful to build them on the spot. So you go create new meal. You can name it. Same with these, by the way. But first thing we can do, if we want, we can call this lunch, right? And then click on it to start adding ingredients. And so we have our builder right here. If I want to go again to that chicken breast, I simply look it up within that ingredients database, that foods database, add it in. And then you can, of course, decide here the amount. And the cool thing is you can even decide between different things. Like if I want to go into servings and make it just 3 servings, right? See the macros below here. And you can add different ingredients to it. So maybe I also want to add jasmine rice. Awesome. Let's go ahead and add that in. And in this case, we're going to go with grams. I'm going to do like 200 grams. Super easy to do all of this. Oops, sorry, that was my chicken. But there we go, right? 45 grams of jasmine rice. Seems a bit more realistic. We add our ingredients like this. We call it lunch. And now we're making meals on the spot. This is definitely recommended to do if they're more one-off meals that you're creating in the moment for this meal plan specifically, and not recipes that you're going to be using time and time again. If you do have a certain meal that you're building that you want to send out time and time again, just make sure you first build it in the meals section. That saves it, makes it a lot easier to add down the road. But also keep in mind that once you've added these meals in, you can then click into them and still make any adjustments to them without actually adjusting, of course, the main recipe that you have built. So you can just make slightly different variations of it for any meal plan whenever that is needed to. So this is really easy. What we're doing here is building out our meal plan, right? We built out an example day. We can now also use our copy paste feature, right, to start copying that over to different days. So maybe we want to alternate. Maybe we want to make the Tuesday a slightly different variation from the Sunday. So we copy it over and then we just make an adjustment. Super easy to do. And we can, of course, copy individual recipes as well, so we can use them easily down the road. It's going to make your meal planning a lot more efficient. And of course, as we are doing this, our nutrition overview here at the top is going to start filling out and showing us the totals. So I'm here selected on this Monday, and it's going to show me the totals for that day that I'm building. The daily calories, as well as the macro distribution in percentage, and the total, if we swap here to grams, the actual totals in grams of it, right? So you can always stay on top of that. Now, this is already going to make your meal planning very efficient because you can use your recipes time over time, easily work with copy and pasting, take the templates that you have built of certain recipes, and then just simply make adjustments to them. And it's not going to take any liberty away because, as we've seen, you can add any custom recipes as well as any custom ingredients even, if ever needed. So you lay out your meal plans like this. And I want to show you one more really useful feature that you can always use. Say you want your meal plan days to be consistently a certain amount. Maybe it's like 2,200 calories for this meal plan. What you can easily do is first lay out your meals, or even build like 2 different meal plan days, and then just say like, hey, I want this meal plan day, which turned out eventually to be 1900 calories, but I want it to be 2200 calories. You can keep messing around with individual ingredients and whatever and try to get the macros right and try to get to the right calorie level and keep adjusting all of these little things until you get it right. Or you can simply use this feature where you select the day, you go to nutrition overview, you type in the calorie count that you want to do, and it will automatically switch that day to be that calorie count by gradually adjusting the food amounts in the right direction. Right? If it needs to be a 20% food increase across all foods to get to your right calorie level, of course, with that keeping the macros the same, you can absolutely do so by just literally typing that in at the top, and it will do it automatically for you. Another great time saver. Now, there's more to this, and I could make part 2 and part 3 of this video, and hey, who knows, maybe I will. But for now, these are some things to keep in mind and how much more efficient you can do your meal planning by using a tool like MyCoach AI and using this meal plan builder if you want to have complete control over everything. And then from there, you will simply save it, and you have this template saved to your meal plan section, so you can now super easily distribute it to clients. But that too is a video for another day. But this gives you some examples and some thoughts on how you can make your meal planning more efficient than your PDFs and your spreadsheets may right now be. Easily work with your own recipes, and they just look great as well once you assign them to clients. Again, a video for another day. I hope this gave you some insights. If you want to see more about MyCoach AI and how we work with nutrition as well as other features, we'll click a link in the description. It has a full demo for our system where you can just sign up to see everything that we have going on the inside, because there's a lot more, believe me. And otherwise, I will just see you in the next video.